1 o'clock, we do not have a quorum, so what we're going to begin is the conversations that we would have. So if we get a quorum before 1:30, we'll start the meeting then, but if it's not by 1:30, we'll dissolve, okay? Respect for everybody's time. Today's discussion was designed to be about, again, ideation. So ideation is where you have all these ideas come in, there's no constraints on them whatsoever. And that is when people are most likely to give their like tiniest ideas in their mind. They may be hesitant to present it in a normal meeting. This gives them the opportunity to say, I don't have anything to worry about, I'm not going to criticize tonight. So please feel free to open up. Robin captured the output from the last meeting, and so she'll capture the output of your ideas from this meeting. And again, the only suggestion that we have is to think about things that affect the school, even though they're not within our fences. So if you think about the family structure, those types of things, one of my big learnings has been how important that age is from birth until they actually come into school doors. And a kid that doesn't have some of those teaching things that happen, we're trying to catch them up. So there may be some opportunities to actually do things or legislative support ideas that, are outside our fences. And there's a lot of our legislators in the General Assembly are proposing things that would be more focused on how to help the family come back together. And I'm not being pejorative either for or against, family structure, definitions of what the two partners are. I'm just saying, rearing a kid is a heck of a doggone challenge. And if you're one parent, you're working, you're trying to take care of the kids, something is going to go lacking. So we're just trying to help society. So if you were to adopt that or suggest that, that would be the rationale you give. It's not inside the schools, but it affects the schools. We want to look over the horizon, as our military friends say, about what can affect us that even might not be visible right there from. Is that okay? All right. So anybody have any suggestions since the last time? And I don't think we have the capture from last time.
Yes,
We do.
folder.
That's why I refer to you.
Oh, yeah.
She's over here laughing and smirking now. So this is the document that was captured last time. And I remember some this. Okay. And so we'll give you a moment or two to read through this. So this has already been captured, but are there other things that, can help us better educate our kids, help our kids have a better opportunity, regardless of their individual circumstances or familial circumstances? And I'll shut up.
Yeah, it's the only other board member that's on.
Who?
Leah, she's on.
Okay.
Hello, Ms. Frazier.
Hi, how's everybody doing today?
Doing good. Do you have the package? We're reading the document that is CD's notes from August 13, 2025 Legislative Committee meeting. And that captures what was discussed in the last meeting, and this is the second of the two meetings, and we just want to bring forward, give everybody an opportunity to bring forward any ideas that may be outside, even outside of the school district's walls or borders, but that affect us and our ability to educate kids and give them the best chance in life.
Understood. I see the document. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And when you've had a chance to peruse it, just let us know and we'll open it up for dialogue.
Going over this, I just, school district as a whole, to me, does a great job. Kids are, and I guess this has always been the conversation on the talk, is that we need to get more community, more involved in our kids' educations. I was at Will Branch Elementary, last week, and they had a grandparent day. And, which was awesome, because, you know, it showed the importance or the value of a grandparent role.
Yeah.
In the kids' life. And I was going back to, when I was a child, and I was here as a kid with my grandfather for a little bit, and he was the man that taught me how to spell my name. You know, so grandparents are very important when it comes to our kids' education. Like I said, our parents are working and doing what they gotta do, whatever the case is, but, and when I went to that particular meeting, I wanted to probably talk to all these awesome talented people that I work with and see if I could start a grandparent committee or some sort of association to help with the kids, you know, or, you know, because I know with my grands, when they come to my house, they read, you're not putting the book back down yet, you're not done, you know, so I think grandparents play a very big part in helping our kids get to where they need to get to. So I sure would love some advice on how to even get something like that started.
I can mention that. I went to Riverview Charter School about 3 years ago. And I make visits once or twice a year. And I asked him, I said, how's your response in your school improvement council? He says, I get the same parents, I get one or two parents. I said, but we said, we went to the kids and asked the kids, okay, mom and dad, of course, who else in your family do you spend time with, visit, or is interested in your life? We just wrote down for grandparents. We also wrote down aunts and uncles. And they said, we started reaching out to that extended family. And it quadrupled our presence. And I went to a ceremony that they had a year ago, invited parents and so on to come in. Place was packed during the middle of the day, during the school day. So parents took time off from work or wherever. I took that notion to Brad Terrence and Rich Holmes and said, have you ever thought about doing that? Because what he does, he has a First Friday program. It's not just the SIC, it's all parents are invited on First Friday.
Yeah.
And I said, well, have you ever thought about asking for grandparents and oh, I'll try that. Again, a whole bunch more people showed up. So grandparents are great, but think about aunts, uncles, and sometimes even a cousin who takes care of, who's there when the kid comes home. where do you go after school? And mom and dad are working. You go to an empty house. Now, I'll tell you what happened at the Ladies Island Presbyterian. Is they went, that group, that church went to Ladies Island Middle School, Coosaw Elementary, and Ladies Island Elementary, to the guidance counselor and said, could you tell us who of your kids go home to an empty house? And, you know, I know there's FERPA and everything else you gotta worry about, but ask who that is. And then, would you mind giving us contact information? And so they went out and they called the parents. I went to visit them in person and said, would you be all right with you if the school bus dropped kids off at Ladies Island Presbyterian? They run a day, they have a preschool program. So they have classrooms, they got a playground. That's where my two grandsons went to preschool. But in the afternoon, preschool ends at noon. So it was vacant. And so they had kids come in there and they did the same thing that we were doing in some of these other after-school programs. Where they had volunteers from the parishioners who said, okay, let's go do your homework. They fed them a snack, went out to the playground,
Right.
that kind of thing. Basically, the exact same thing that we've been doing up at the Whale Branch. And great success. So, you know, that's right in the same alley.
Yeah.
As what you're saying.
Right. Okay. Good. Definitely look into that.
And so as we move it forward, we'll try to put more definition and identify sources of support and expertise that can help right currently in one.
Yeah.
That works.
But you know, it's getting the word out that grandparents, we'd love to have you come to these things. You know, they all go, if you go to the graduations. Your grandparents are there, the aunts and uncles are already there.
Yeah.
You go, and same for when Whale Branch Middle School has their graduation ceremony. Dan, it was packed.
Yeah.
With family members. And looking at the sporting events. Or if the school puts on a play or, you know. There's always a lot of folks there.
I was at the grandparent day at the elementary and it was a lot.
Oh,
I knew a lot of my community, so there was a lot of grandparents out there doing little feeding projects and building stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely do that. Reach out to grandparents and further and uncles and aunts. Yeah, definitely help our kids get where they need to be. Definitely.
Yeah, okay, on that. Pastor Gordon, in addition to that, how do we get the theological community? How do we communicate better with them? And that's open for anybody, it's not just him, but he's a leader, so we'll get him first. And while you're thinking, can I share something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so having moved 19 times, anywhere I live, I go to, and if you invite me to your religious institution, I go. So I've attended mosques, churches, synagogues, temples, right? It doesn't matter. Now, I'm not changing what my conviction is, but to help connect with people.
Right.
When they see you there, it's like, oh, wow, you showed up. Right. And so that type of thing. So really sort of, again, this is ideation thinking out of the blocks. Not what we traditionally have been constrained. Again, I leave there, my values, my theology is the same, but people are appreciative when you have that type of presence, even though it's 1-2 times. So, if anybody else got some ideas?
I can jump into
Sure,
that.
absolutely.
There is a Hispanic church on Joe Fraser Road, just before you get to Habersham. And I was invited to attend one of their services. It's not Catholic, it's evangelical. that was the most impressive service I've been to. Because, first of all, I've been to a lot of different churches. And I don't see young kids there because they go to Sunday school. And it's generally the adults that are, you don't see many young children. In that one, there were all kinds of young kids. And they had singing and they had kids coming up and testifying, giving testimonials. And all in Spanish, of course. They had an interpreter sitting behind me, telling me, what was being said, because my Spanish is not very good. But we have to make sure we reach out, when you mentioned that you went to others, but I'll bet you nobody has gone to, I haven't, there's a Greek Orthodox church. They got their sign up there on Repo Road. And I haven't been to the temple. There's a Jewish temple there. I need to go. And every time I've gone to a church, man, it's like, glad to have you here.
Yes, they are.
I mean, it's wonderful. And it's like trying to reach out now, Pastor Moore up in his part of Levico, he brings in the Sheldon Township, he brings those folks in. You've been there.
Yeah.
But have we got something, have we got somebody on St. Helena Island to grab all the churches there and bring them in together?
Well, we move together, everyone moves over, kind of, they move together, yeah, so they move together.
We not, like I said, Sheldon Township, with some of the churches there on that side of Wheel Branch, they kind of move together. But like when you come back out to Burton, it's a little different. And there's like, I learned this when I was running, it's about 90 churches to District 1. I mean, from a congregation from 10, to maybe 100. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things I was thinking about the other day, how to get those churches together, to even have conversation with them. But that's one of the things that's on top of my list right now.
So one of the things this event I attended this morning, I have some notes on that, but coming out of that was, can we leverage, and we gotta make sure attorney and everybody else that we're compliant with all requirements, right, in terms of communication. But can we capture contact details for those 90 churches, others, and then have Dr. Bruder under her umbrella, update them on a regular basis in terms of things that would be relevant to their constituency? Because they are Americans and they are humans and they have kids. And so that may be where an opportunity to say, hey, did you know about this thing that the school district offers?
Can I share?
Yeah.
So we do the ecumenical
Yeah.
luncheon and that's, and Dr. Rodriguez meets with them. So that information has captured because Wally and they do something at least twice a year. In fact, I don't know if they haven't had anything so far this semester, but they ended it last semester. So the ecumenical community is contacted and information is shared with them and stuff, at least twice a year on a regular basis.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're gonna say something.
I was about to say what she said, but what I will add to it is that they don't know every church. They know some of the churches and majority of the churches that they may deal with or they've heard about. And churches are always, they're ever evolving. So if you could take those, what they were telling me that if you bring the information of those different churches that you may know of, and you bring that to them, and they will put them in their inventory, and they will invite them, so therefore that they won't be left out. And from time to time, sometimes they may send churches letters, but different people may check the post office or box, or so sometimes there may be different ways of, and once they actually able to make contact with somebody from that, they may be able to get a post office box and an email address, and that too may cover two people versus one people, because one person may be getting emails, or two or three people may be getting emails, and one person may be getting the mail, so it's now you're attacking them more ways than one, and then you're attacking that same, that same organization. So, I think, so those are a couple of just things to put out there that, maybe, ways of how we can, continue to reach those, different types of organizations, whether it's of different business backgrounds. So, yeah, but if you get some of those 90, because when I ran into it was a ton of churches, and as I know some of those churches wouldn't come to the communal partners, and I wouldn't have that conversation. That was really relayed to me, and so, yeah.
But Will, would you agree that you've been to every one that I've been, and I've been to every one. So wouldn't you agree that we get the same people? We get Pastor Moore, we get Pastor Goodwine, we get about the same folks. And Carlton, I can count on one hand the number of white pastors that showed up. I made a personal call on the priest at St. Peter's, asking them to come. And oh yeah, we get the date, but I will be there. Make sure you got an invitation. There, I never got an answer. I should have gone back and confronted him about it.
Well, you're right. I would say what I do is, I've gotten it before. What I do is, I go to church and they say, any visitors, would you please stand? I stand up then. I did 2 pastors like that. And I invited them to the committal, and then I saw some visitors from the church come. So I didn't just do it just to the pastor. I went there and sat through the service, and one pastor said, I just totally forgot about it. I said, yeah, well, now he comes, so they someone from the church said on a regular. So yeah, that's no, you're right.
Okay, so I'm capturing this and you capturing this as well. Okay. You see, but you see how this process works. You bring up an idea and then it's expanded by other input. So are there other ideas? Give another one. You always got one. When I'm talking to them one-on-one, they just flow like the Mississippi River. Ms. Kushner,
There you go.
I'm just saying, right, Lena's on.
Okay,
She's not raising her hand, but she is on.
Ms. Frazier? Ms. Frazier, do you have any input, any ideas you'd like to share, ma'am? Okay, you have,
She's on.
oh. She's bailing you out. Oh,
We can't hear you. Leah, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. I see that you're unmuted.
Oh, I'm not speaking. I don't know why it keeps, and I'm on this cell phone. It keeps doing what it wants to do.
Okay.
So,
Sorry about that.
Ms. Frazier, do you have any any ideas you'd like to offer after hearing this conversation?
Only the fact that they all seem to be great ideas.
Okay, that's fair.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Will, can I ask Will, because Will talks about this often, and that is something for our children to do. And, we don't have a bowling alley anymore, we don't have a movie theater anymore, we don't have a fun park that we used to have anymore. And I've heard you've talked about that to county council. And that needs to be on here.
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree, and actually, the things that the kids has honestly told me as well, but I will say, just to go into this perspective of, the religion area, what I will say is that this is, in terms of the program we were just doing on Saturday, we have a great arts program, and you'll be surprised how we can entwine the arts and getting information out. We have a lot of high school gospel choirs. And I think that maybe when we have a district
Gospel competition.
right competition, or even like a showcase like we had Saturday, and maybe pass the trophy around from year to year, and then at that point in time, we invite all the churches and all the pastors to come and to maybe have that, maybe we could be we could go from May River to Battery Creek to Beaver High or Battery Creek every year. Maybe we can do it once in the fall, once in the spring. But that'd be a way to get out everyone in different religions, because I know over at my church over Bethesda, we actually we invite the road that there's that is a Catholic. I forgot whatever they are, but we invite them into our church, and their religion is different. And we go to their church one year, or we go to their church and they come to ours. And so we don't push our religion on them, but we go and we fellowship with each other. And I think that type of fellowship, and even if we allow them to even every now and then or bring a couple of their choirs in and give our kids some time to change over, whatever, how or whatever that may look. But I think that would be a great demonstration and a great inviting to see and to show people that we are willing and do want to be community organized, and that we do see input from the community. I mean, that's just something I want to put out there. I think that would be one way with that. And the younger generation, we do something about we go and we do like the superintendent talk. From time to time, the kids always talk to me. If I'm at the lunch or I'm at the school, they come and say, Mr. Smith, well, we don't have this, and that's where I start to really focus on. Well, we don't really have no. I said, well, we always do this, so we do that. Why we be up that one night there was some kids over at the Sonics. After the game, there's probably maybe about one something. He's like, what y'all doing out here still? He's like, well, Mr. Smith ain't not really fussing. We just chilling out, we just laid from the draft that was fussing. And saying that, that all y'all over here. And so they went, what they did was they went over to Grayco Park, Grayco Park on Lake Island, and they were just in the parking lot. And so I was like, what time y'all going? It's like just a little more longer. And so I sat and I kind of just watched them. And the kids were like, there's no place for us to be at that's safe. The parking lot is lit. We're just having fun. We're out here talking. So, it's things like that. And that's when I began to start years ago to understand that there's nothing for these kids to do. So I think we should as a we should have our own talk arounds and see how can we help these kids and get it to other leaders to say, hey, look here, this is what these kids want. I had a parent who called me, her kids go to a different school. Unfortunately, that's not our district. And she said, the little boy called me, he said, look here, she said, well, I want you to say you want to talk to somebody. I said, I know this. And he called me, and that was his kind of outcry, was that there's nothing for me and my friends to really do. My mom, she doesn't really, she can't take me and pick up all my friends. Some of my friends' mama, they don't have cars like my mama got. So it's just things like that right there that I think that we should be focused on. And at the meeting the other night, it was said that if we don't bring industry in terms of taxing, that if we don't have growth that we can't bring these. I think that's untrue because of the fact that there are different ways how you can channel to make it profitable and attractive to businesses. I believe because we look a while back when we had that when we had some of the money that we have, we gave two businesses maybe about a couple millions. And then imagine if we had given that to some businesses that would attract kids. When we talk about school, for instance, we have schools that have lunches that are all our lunches are free, right? But then we sell stuff at lunches. We sell candy, we sell cookies. Kids find money. So if kids find money, kids will be able to find money for some of these events. Okay. So I just think that we need to find what the kids want, what would be good outlets for them, and what are the kids interested in. And I think that we can help create that. We have group conversations with them, and so that we can build something and say, hey, look here, this is a product, this is what they want, because they have to have some buy-in. Capture that. So yeah, that's actually. I'm not saying I'm going to run a whole lot. No, you had a lot of good information. That's all fair.
I also added to what you were saying, Mr. Smith, survey the community.
Okay.
So we actually, and I captured you as far as a. Any others? Ms. Fraser? Otherwise, you're gonna hear about the Military Enhancement Committee. What they're recommending. Because I asked them the same question. Okay, so just to share a little bit, really a lot of focus on the Military Business Workforce Development Alliance, which is how do they help create connections to the community so that enlisted people, non-enlisted people, anybody in the military, some of their support groups that are in this area have a reason to stay here. Particularly if they're young families and they have kids. So one of the things we need to do, as you mentioned out, and they mentioned your speech about the schools, we need to get the enrollment up. So that was heard very clear. And so things that we can do along those lines, because they are, I mean, there's so many different structures at the military level and the civilian level that really push this. But what we asked them specifically was, help us communicate it more clearly. So we shared this today, as I mentioned, this is Spanish, so there were no Spanish speakers, so those came back, but all the English versions were retained. So what do you think about how do we connect with the military? Let me give you some ideas. They said they like to see boys and girls clubs back in the schools. They haven't been on the regional board for the Boys and Girls Club. I know the one that they had in Beaufort was not profitable. Not profitable, that sounds like it wasn't highly attended. So you can solve that by reaching out, communicating, and making sure people know what's being offered. That was part of the problem there. So let me stop and say, what do you think about entities such as Boys and Girls Club? Of course, more extended learning centers. That's a win, very highly regarded. We share it at statewide meetings and what have you. So I'll shut up.
When, you said the Boys and Girls Club in Beaufort.
That was years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I was driving the bus then, but I thought a lot of kids went through that.
Not enough.
Really?
Yeah, not enough. They have a break even for every boy, just like. I'm not going to. Every entity has a break even where your expenses are significantly more than what your revenue.
Okay.
And so the mother parent regional has to now kick in and pull from the other four at that time, 6, I think, the other 5 clubs and say help subsidize Beaufort. And that's where you run into that geographical polarization. So that's what happened.
Let me, my son went to 7 different schools. 3 of them were Department of Defense schools. 4 of them were private, public schools, different public schools. The military, the Department of Defense schools are very, very regimented. Their curriculum and everything is set by Department of the Army, or Department of Defense, because it's Navy, Air Force, and every place that has a Department of Defense school. And they're really good, and they're all their teachers are GS civilians, Department of Defense civilians, so they're on the GS step. So they're the best paid teachers in the state of Kentucky when I was at Fort Knox. And overseas, they're even better paid because they get first 80% of their income is non-taxable. So so they get good teachers. But one of the problems for the military is when you go from that kind of school to the public school, there's always a change. And it's something that anybody goes from one school to the other has to deal with. There's different ways of doing things. But it's really key at high school. And I'll tell you why it's really key at high school. My son transferred to his high school in middle of his junior year. And so he had to then compete for scholarships and everything else from teachers that didn't even know him. And compete on athletically, he's He's a free agent that came in, and so, that's hard. That is the biggest challenge for the military kids is at high school level. Because of transcripts, different grading, the Fort Knox was on a 5-point system. Newport, Rhode Island's school was on a 4-point. And trying to make that transcript change and everything. So it's really an issue of guidance counselors understanding, and I've had at least 2 times where I've had to get involved for a military family. One military family child went to, but they were in Japan. And they put their child in kindergarten, a Japanese kindergarten. Okay, so they went to a year of Japanese kindergarten when she was 4 years old. She came here to enroll in our kindergarten and they was told, no, you've already been to kindergarten. Oh, I don't want to go to kindergarten. I want to go to, otherwise I gotta wait till I go to first grade because she couldn't, she was 5 years old, she wasn't 6 yet. I had to go get a special exemption. I said, wait a minute, I know this kid's been, but they've spoken Japanese. I mean, that's not kindergarten. It's gonna prepare her for first grade here. And so that's the kind of issue. Another issue was a non-commissioned officer who got sent here. And they didn't have quarters right away, so he rented a house in the Okatee area to go to Okatee Elementary. Well, then he found permanent housing over in Jasper County. And they said, oh, okay, you have to leave middle of the school year. So wait a minute. Let the kid finish the year there at least. And then, then if he has to go to Jasper, he has to go to Jasper. But that's not really fair to any kid. I don't care, if it's military or not military, sometimes that happens. And you have to have some flexibility for the welfare of the kid. But one of the problems is that we don't spend enough time with the command structure of the Air Base, Paris Island, and the Naval Hospital. We don't. And they don't know who to call.
That's very true.
And that's something that's frankly, that's our fault. That's our fault. And we're a, what is it, silver? What is
Purple.
it? Purple district. Purple district because we support the school well, or support the military. Well, how do we support the military?
What you point out, there's room for improvement that will benefit us as well as them. So capture that.
And we also have, I've tried to reach out to Laurel Bay. They have an elementary school there. I've tried to reach out to them a number of times. Just how can we work together? No interest whatsoever in doing it. Have you ever tried?
Well, I was gonna say, actually, I have, and actually, I've met with the Bay General a couple of times.
Have you?
Yeah, because one time we were looking to bring back yes, the Starbase, and so I actually have
Starbase.
yeah, and we were talking about bring back Starbase, the one that just but yeah, so I have had a couple meetings with them, and I've had been with them, and I apologize for having I haven't brought that back, but we were still kind of working on it, but also we were kind of building our relationship as well. And but yeah, I think that we should have also, I think would be good when we meet with the legislators that we also invite the general when we have like legislation breakfast, something, I think it would be good that we invite the general at that time, so that may be something that we would, that we may wanna do, but the same way how we do that, we may want to invite the general, both
The base commander.
base commanders, yeah.
Of each one of the naval hospital.
Yeah, because I think that would be a good time to be able for us to be able to speak with each other and interact of, you know, because our legislators are talking and our generals will be there at the same time saying what resources that they need. Therefore, everyone is in there, all the key state players are, key holders are in the room at that point in time. So I think that, you know, could be a room of improvement showing them that we are interested in what they think and their people and what that look like. And that's why I told you the other night,
Yeah.
the board meeting, who she was, and
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight her.
Right,
Kim Wiley,
Yeah.
Kim Wiley is
Yeah.
the person who is the communication and the
Right.
school district has worked
Right,
for years along with Kim Wiley.
yeah, so, yeah,
So, yeah, so that's.
and he hasn't reached out to me yet, but.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
She said it. So, yeah, he's very good person. Don't mind when you go to him, they know you coming, yeah, so that's just something, but yeah, I mean, and also I've talked to a couple of military parents. From time to time, and they have passed my number around and how to get in contact.
Yeah.
But I think too, I told myself one time too that I can do more and improvement over there in terms of what that look like. And once again, the same way we have those different days, you know, and some of our schools may have military games or military. I think that it probably be upon us to get to the information to Mrs. Bruder and those to get those information out to them, let them know, hey, we have a military appreciation for this game or something like that, and we make sure that we're there to let them know that we would like for them to be there, and you know, even if we give them some type of acknowledgement that we see, we appreciate you, we continue looking to working with you to be successful in this district. You know, and I think that way also that will show them, hey, I want my kids to go to high school. We want our kids to go to Beaufort County because of that relationship and they've shown us, you know, that they're committed and they're consistent.
Yeah.
I think consistency is the key that what people are really looking for right now. People are just not looking just to say, hey, don't tell me love, you show me love.
And captured all of that. That's really, really good stuff. Appreciate it. Can I move to the next one, please? Okay, so, General Will Grimsley asked if the school still had universal lunch. We do. And we actually.
And breakfast.
In breakfast. So we were able to respond to him that, yes, that's in there. And as our district, as a matter of fact, we moved $3 million, if I recall correctly, when the federal funding was cut. So we have been able to make sure that's sustained. So he was very impressed by that. The other thing, and that's FYI there. The other thing is, General Grimsley, General Grimsley suggested that fully vetted veterans, that they may be a good source of mentors for fitness and good societal values. So they would come into and they would be fully vetted, you know, the whole screening process before anyone can interact. And they will provide some of the mentoring and support and guidance to kids that may be lacking it. So that's what they brought forward. Your thoughts on that?
Well, when I was in ROTC, we had them come in, Ace come in and do that. We had Colonel Johnson and Sergeant Klein. They used to get guys off the air station and do as well as PI used to come through sometime. And we would go out, they would say, oh, we got a surprise for you today. And when we got there, they would be out there and they would be a little different. Sometimes they would be firm, sometimes they would talk to us, or we would have different things. So I mean, they from time to time in ROTC, from that component, they definitely brought a different outlook and how they see things. And, you know, they would take some of us off the side and, you know, say, hey, I heard you having different things. And also kids who would be around school would be acting out. They would fall off of our group and they would go talk to them and stuff like that. So I've seen that before. The Calvin White, Mr. White, some people at first they questioned it with Calvin White, and he used to hate. He didn't have a problem with it. He had them to be around.
Who was Mr. White?
Calvin White was a former principal of Beaufort High School.
Okay.
He was a principal when I was in school, and he allowed them to have their way around the building. When I say that, as in terms of he allowed them to mentor kids who were not just in ROTC, just kids in general. It wasn't a bad fit.
Okay. Super. Super. Any other comments on?
Yeah, I got it. Trying to think how to say this.
Your among friends.
The military is a very unique social structure. It's not always compatible with the norms of civilian life. And I can easily see former drill sergeant, a former combat leader, a former getting in a one-on-one situation with a kid and I'm gonna toughen you up, boy. And the vetting, obviously you can make sure that there's no background or everything else, but I'm not sure that that culture is that universal. I'm gonna put it that way.
Okay.
And I hear what he says, and I think what I would suggest to him is that he work through the ROTC department of each of the schools. And let that ROTC instructor, that guy in charge, the colonel or who's in charge, let him be the one to guide and mentor and say, this guy would be good here, because I can see it, going out there and doing wild and crazy things. And
We had one first out of Ames.
it's all
I
right.
never forget me. At first, he was
Well,
he was a little different. He was
if it's monitored and it's ROTC, then you can get away with it.
There's a lot of that.
You know, wait a minute. First out of Ames had a voice, and you can hear him down the hall. Hey, why we class that? Why you that class? You just disrespect. Come here.
And that's an aggravating officer right there.
Yeah,
That's it.
and so,
That's it.
so
Yeah.
these were kids. These would be students that were not in ROTC.
Yeah.
And so he didn't be like talking about it, but he could hear his voice. He'd be like, "Oh, God, he around the corner." He's not a hallmark. He's not a hallmark. We don't have to talk. Like you don't have to talk to the ROTC students. We would tell them he's cool. He just get annoyed, but he was tough. But yes or no, we did have your first. I never forget the first time he was short. Yeah, he was real different. He was real different. But for some reason, Mr. White understood him. I mean, when we he's like, I gotta get to know him. He ain't going, so it was I think time was no different there, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, one of those. Yeah. First I hate it.
I have a question, does May River have ROTC programs? Is that heard? What department?
It's the Air Force, I believe.
Because I heard kind of through the grapevine that they were looking to get a Army ROTC.
No, it's the Air Force.
Okay.
I wish it was Army, but it's there. Well, they have one Army, and that's it. I love
That's about.
Any
it.
other?
Air Force at Beaufort High too.
Yes, Air Force before. And that was the crazy thing too, that we had Marines over on our and that's that Marines that have Marines stuff. Yes, that's what we thought was weird. Like why we have these Marines over here? We're not Marines. And she was like, you get first out of like him, we get that's always he's a Marine. We're not Marines. But it's true.
Service branch rivalry, right? So the last thing that they brought up. Oh, Navy too, yes, right. Apology, man. All right, so the last thing brought up was, and if you go to the post office, they have the 250th anniversary of the military that they're selling as stamps, right? So you can easily show support by buying those. But what they talked about was the 250th celebration, which is going to, I think he said 2033. Does that sound right? I may have written it down wrong, but the 250th celebration is coming. And so he poses that an opportunity to connect with the school district as well. in terms of having kids there or whatever.
250 for who? For what?
For the Corps?
The Army had its already. I think
They
the
have,
the Navy's next.
okay.
And I think
The
that.
Marine Corps'
then-
birthday is November 10th, so
Yeah.
it'll be their 250th birthday
Yeah,
celebration, so that would have been in November.
so the post office has 250 for each branch, so some
Yeah,
of them could have.
it's on a
occurred.
different, it's on a
Yeah.
different date.
Okay, okay. So that was an idea that was brought up as well. Connecting with the 250th celebration, so let me see if there's anything else that was brought up in this particular meeting. I don't have anything else that was brought up in this particular meeting. Anybody else have anything else? Any other ideas? Okay,
I think maybe we should also, when we do meet with them, we should, see how we can pull our resources with each other, how we can share resources in terms of what they have, in terms that.
you talking about military systems?
Yes, sir, right, pulling our resources, they may have different things, or they may have some of the finances, but also in terms of. Even like swimming, they may have they may have swim instructors, or we have pools. So they may be able to say on Saturday, say we offer kids swimming lessons at your schools, at your local facilities. That way, where we're utilizing our facilities, and we're all for it. We're also opening them up to the community so that kids can learn how to swim and different things. So I mean, so that's just one example of how we can pool our resources together and how we can share resources and be good community partners.
Excellent. Okay. Going once, going twice. Ms. Frazier, any input from you, ma'am? Okay, all right, so then this is, did she say something? Okay, so from where I sit, this has been a very productive, you've gotten, oh, that 19, 11 on the first day, and it looks like we have about 8 on this particular session. So we're gonna have about 20 different ideas. Now, we're gonna have to put them through all the screens and constraints that the school district has about how we do things. So we're not breaching any protocol. But we don't want protocols at this particular point of the process to limit our thinking. So you come up with ideas I would never follow. Okay. And so that's the good thing. So we'll have to make sure we package these. We'll bring them before the full legislative committee at the next meeting. So there can be a general discussion, and the intent is to move these forward so that anything that comes up, we'll be able to engage if we get committee approval, board approval, we'll be able to engage our local elected officials before they return in January. They have a lot of things in the queue that are carrying over from prior years, but we also want them to think about things that are particularly impactful on how we educate our kids, how effective. Is that okay with everybody? Good. All right, so I had suggested earlier that I would have you out 24 minutes earlier than this, but I thought it might not be prudent to try to stop the conversation when it's coming. So apologies for keeping you additional 25 minutes now, but I appreciate the input. What else do we have on the agenda? I don't think there's anything.
The discussion was the only thing that on this agenda.
Okay, so with that, this is thank you. You folks have been phenomenal. Much appreciated.
There was one thing I wanted to put out there before adjourn. Yesterday in the operations meetings, you brought up a point about I don't remember, you brought up a point about there was a road that was there was a road that was tore up. And I brought up the fact that I know that sometimes they kind of the state they may repair roads one time, like emergency or different things, because the ambulance is the emergency vehicles have to get down there. And so I was thinking, Mr. Ali made a suggestion, well, he made the offer to say that maybe that would be something that the legislative position committee may want to take up. And I think not probably just take up. I think he said he's gonna make some phone calls as well. But so that's something that when we have our meeting with our legislators or, that may be something that we could bring to their attention. Or see if they'd be willing to help us get that road, get that road fixed, or, maybe we'll put some funds towards, the bottom line to that. So, that
Okay.
may be, maybe, something that we may want to,
Absolutely, I got it down.
that's what, I
That's
would
good.
definitely.
Good cap.
Yeah, and actually, and to be honest with you, sometimes they do it for funerals too as well. Like if there's a road that's real bad, then they will fix it. So I mean, with this being a kids and school entity, I just figured they may, help us out with that as well. That's why.
And I would encourage all the board members that are here, I know all of you are doing it, but engage your elected officials. They genuinely enjoy hearing from you, even when you have something to suggest that they do that is not where their position is currently. They like knowing that the public is communicating with them. So please keep that in mind and feel free to reach out and develop that relationship.
Could we possibly get a date to come as well? I mean, I'm gonna generally go on my own.
You're talking about when the school board association holds their day, or us do one ourselves?
Not about ourselves where we go up there, we watch and see, or we just, if there may be a day where there be several things on the agenda, some of us may want to go see that we go together and, kind of camaraderie, and I think a team day, I generally go on my own. But I think that, us going up there could be some interest, but I mean, we had not been to see how that whole. How that whole, yeah, it is, it's still,
Have that down as a capture as well. Good point.
that's up to you.
You're part of it. We're gonna bring for that. All right, that's it, unless you have something else. Thank you for your time. 58 minutes.
I agree with you